Somewhere in your house tonight, a list is being written about you, not on paper, in a child's memory. Marcus Aurelius wrote his down, 4 family members, and the exact trait he caught from each. Here's what made an emperor's list, and what will make yours.
Hi, I'm Bruno, a dad of 3, no expert, just chasing a bit of wisdom before the clock runs out. If you're on the same road, subscribe and walk with me.
Well, we measure everything now. Sleep scores, screen time, steps, the exact minutes our children spend on every app. There's a dashboard for all of it. But there's no dashboard for the one transfer happening every day in our homes. What our children are quietly catching from us. Marcus Aurelius built one of those dashboards with a pen. The most powerful man in the Roman world opened his private journal by listing the people who formed him and the exact trait he got from each. It's the world's first character audit, and it runs in both directions because one day our children will be able to write the same list about us. This episode walks through his, Marcus Aurelius, and asks what will be on our children's. The Meditations opens not with doctrine, but with gratitude. Before he reasons about anything, Marcus Aurelius lists the people who formed him and names the exact virtue each one gave him. The first 4 entries, grandfather, father, mother, and great-grandfather, are as follows. From my grandfather, Verus, I learned good morals and the government of my temper. From the reputation and remembrance of my father, modesty and a manly character. From my mother, piety and beneficence, and abstinence not only from evil deeds, but even from evil thoughts. And further, simplicity in my way of living, far removed from the habits of the rich. From my great-grandfather, not to have frequented public schools and to have had good teachers at home, and to know that on such things a man should spend liberally. Marcus, translated by George Long. Marcus is doing something quietly radical. The most powerful man alive begins his private journal with a genealogy of his own character. He traces every trait he values back to the specific person he caught it from. Temper from a grandfather, modesty from a father's remembered example, an honest inner life and a simple life or way of living from his mother, judgment and the teachers who trained it from a great-grandfather. Each entry is a claim about how character travel, not through blood, but through watching. And each entry is concrete. He doesn't thank his family for values. He names the exact habit and the exact person he saw practicing it. See, the mechanism matters because it's testable in any kitchen. Aristotle, whose ethics Marcus was raised on, taught that virtue is a habit before it is an idea. We become patient by doing patient things until they stop feeling like an effort. The Stoics added a warning. The soul takes the color of its daily impressions. Put those together and you get a hard rule for family life. Children learn what is repeated, not from what is announced. One speech about kindness cannot compete with 100 small unkindnesses they watched us commit. Marcus's list is the receipt. Decades later, what he remembers is not what his family told him. It's what they did in front of him, over and over. Start with the first entry, from grandfather Verus, the government of my temper. Notice Marcus doesn't say his grandfather never got angry. He says the man governed it. Anger arrived, and something in him stood between the spark and the fire. The Stoics had a name for that gap. Anger, they thought, is not the event, but the verdict we add to the event. And the verdict can be delayed. That gap is exactly where children watch us most closely. The driver who cut us off cannot see our face. The passenger in the small seat, in the back seat, see nothing else. Whatever happens in our body in that 3-second window, the jaw, the breath, the word we chose to use or to swallow, that is the lesson being delivered. Nobody enrolled, but everybody attended. This entry on the list belongs to Marcus's mother. Abstinence not only from evil deeds, but even from evil thoughts. Well, how would a child even know what a parent is thinking? Here's how. Think about the ride home after a family gathering. Can you picture it? The moment the car doors close and the reveals begin. Who looked tired? Who's doing badly? Who shouldn't have said what? Yeah, whatever. Our children sit in the back seat learning our real opinions of people we hugged an hour ago. That gap, warm to a face, cold behind the back, is what a philosopher would call a divided soul. And kids clock it early. Marcus later wrote that soul takes the color of its thoughts. Ours are more public than we think. The commentary is the curriculum. The second entry should be impossible. Marcus thanks his father for modesty and for a manly character. But his father died when Marcus was a small boy. What he received wasn't time. It was reputation. The way other people spoke of the man when he came up in conversation, year after year, until the son could assemble a father from testimony alone. That is a sobering physics of parenting. Think about it. Influence does not stop at the edge of our presence. What colleagues say about us, what neighbors repeat, the tone a room takes when our name comes up. Our children overhear all of it, and it teaches them who we are when they're not looking. We are always composing the account of ourselves that others will one day hand to them. Well, the fourth entry sounds like the least philosophical one. Marcus thanks his great-grandfather for good teachers at home and for the conviction that on teachers one should spend liberally. It's practical advice, almost administrative. It might be the most urgent line on the list though, because every child today already has a tutor at home. Well, several in fact. The feed is a teacher. The autoplay cue is a teacher. The influencer talking over dinner from a propped up phone is a teacher. With unlimited hours and a lesson plan built to hold attention, not to form a person. We interview babysitters for 20 minutes. The algorithm got hired without a resume. Marcus's great-grandfather would ask one question: who exactly is teaching your children this evening, and did you choose them? There is one more gift for Marcus's mother: simplicity in my way of living, far removed from the habits of the rich. Remember who's writing this? A man who could have anything. The Stoics didn't think comfort was evil. They thought appetite was contagious. A child cannot see our bank balance, I hope, but they can see our wanting. How quickly a new phone stops being exciting, how the talk at dinner keeps drifting to the next car, the next kitchen, the next upgrade. Enough is not a number. Children learn. It's a mood they absorb from the adults in the house. Marcus's mother lived at the top of the Roman society and somehow radiated sufficiency. That, he thought, was worth recording forever. Contentment, it turns out, is a family heirloom. Notice the posture of the whole exercise. Before Marcus wrote a word of philosophy, he wrote thank yous. That's not decoration. The Stoics trained attention the way we train muscles, and gratitude was one of the drills. Now listen to the soundtrack of an average family evening. The traffic was horrible. The boss is impossible. The weather ruined the weekend. Complaint is a language, and children become fluent shockingly fast. Here's an experiment worth trying at dinner. One sentence. Something I was given today. Not a lecture on gratitude, just a sentence that shows gratitude said by an adult regularly. Attention is contagious in both directions, and the child who hears blessings named out loud is learning where to point their eyes and to be thankful for life. There's a freedom hiding in this list, and it's about most Stoic things about it. Marcus's family controlled what they modeled. They never controlled what he took. His grandfather couldn't force him to be calm. He could only be calm where the boy could see. That's the dichotomy of control applied to the people we love most. What our children ultimately do with our example is, in the end, theirs. And that should relax us, not discourage us, of course. We are not responsible for the harvest, but we are indeed responsible for what gets planted, season after season, in plain view. Do the part that belongs to us. Release the part that doesn't. It worked, at least once, on a boy who became an emperor. Well, there is one last detail easy to miss. Marcus doesn't just possess his virtues. He can say where every one of them came from. Someone told him the stories. Someone said, "Your father was a modest man," often enough that it took root. There's a quiet job description in that for the rest of us. Be the teller. Children who know the family stories, who taught who to be brave, which grandparent held things together in a hard year. Well, they carry a strange, extra steadiness, because they know they are not starting from zero. They are the latest holders of something older than themselves. That knowledge is an inheritance too, and it costs nothing but the telling. A story at bedtime, a name attached to a virtue, out loud. Marcus Aurelius could say exactly who gave him his calm, his honesty, his sense of enough. Someday your children will write that list about you, in memory, if not in ink. Tonight, at dinner, try one sentence. Something I was given today. That's how the first good entry gets written. What did the people who raised you actually hand down to you? The part they never said out loud. Tell me in the comments. Well, if this gave you something, subscribe. That's how Roots and Reasons keeps going. Thank you.